Hey y'all, it's Crystal. Welcome. Thanks so much for stopping in. Today, just a little book chat about Seraphina's Lament by Sarah Chorn because I loved it. I loved it so much. So first of all, a big shout out to Steve over at Steve Talks Books because he read this book. He chatted about this book and made me want to read it. And then he did a little giveaway and he sent it to me so I could read it. And I read it and I loved it. So let's talk a little bit about it. This is a dark fantasy, grimdark fantasy, pretty bleak in nature at times, set in a land called the Sunset Lands. And about 10 years previous to our more kind of current story, there was an overthrow of the government, shall we say. It was more of a kind of kingdom type based ruler, and so he was, they were killed, and now there's this premier who's ruling everything, and he's changing the entire way everything works to something that he calls, I think, collectivism, I think is what he called it. I meant to look it up, I forgot. But anyway, it's a whole new way of doing things. And yeah, so I'm like, where does it even start? So, and even though this is called Seraphina's Lament, we do follow Seraphina, but there's a slew of characters in here that we hear from, multiple points of views, through different kind of, areas of the Sunset Lands, and to give us kind of feel of what's going on, what's happening. So Seraphina herself is, at the beginning of the story, is an enslaved person to this premier who is now running the show. And she is a magic user. There is, some magic in this land. She is kind of more so kind of like elemental based. So she's like a fire magic person. There's like fire, there's water, there's a guy that's like can kind of control lightning and weather and storms, and then there's other people that have like a mind type of magic where they can like read people's minds and hear people's thoughts, that kind of thing too, which isn't really elemental, but for the most part it's kind of elemental, right? But anyway, so Seraphina, like I said, is a fire user, but she is very much controlled by this premier guy, and like I said, it's basically just literally locked up and a slave to him. And her brother was at one point too, and her brother is a water user. But over, like I said, since the years that this premier has taken over, this land itself is crumbling really and falling apart. The farms are not fertile anymore. People are starving to death. Even the magic users that are born are less. They're less and less in number, and also less powerful, over these, years, and things like that. And so the world kind of itself is just kind of falling apart. And perhaps there's something else at play that comes very much into play in this story. Something beyond the realm of what this premier thinks he's doing. Something a bit more godly, shall we say? Yeah, there's a lot going on in this story, but I never at any time felt overwhelmed with anything or like confused. It was really told very well. Absolutely wonderfully written, very descriptive, but not overly so, you know what I mean? The characters themselves were very interesting. Like I said, we follow several throughout the story. It's one of those books where each chapter is from the perspective of a character. So like that is from Mouse. So here is a character from Amity, how I say his name. Here's a chapter from Seraphina, and so we kind of, each chapter is filling us in from a different perspective, right? But again, it's not overwhelming at all, and it really makes a complete story by the end. The world itself was very interesting. But like I said, it's crumbling. It's turning literally to dust, because the it's just not fertile anymore. It is, like I said, this is a dark story. There's some darkness, a lot of darkness in here, a lot of violence. A lot of violence, but some, we'll say violence, but imagery of people starving to death, instances of like cannibalism. What else? Yeah, definitely murder and things like that. But it never felt like too much or anything like that. It's not like it adds to this. It adds to the story for me. What else? As far as like the darkness, I don't see if there's any necessarily content warnings, but yeah, I'd say that's the gist of it. Just some pretty almost like body horror imagery in here almost. It was just really interesting. So wonderfully written. Again, like I said, it pulled me right into the story. I was so interested in what was going to happen, and the way everything ended, like, I need the next book now. I don't know when it's coming out. I didn't even look it up, but I need this. And also, if you're looking for fantasy written by women, which is out there, but a lot of times fantasy can be a bit male dominated. She offers a great perspective to this. I think particularly with Seraphina, and then Mouse is another female character who was really interesting. And then there's actually another female character who I'm not gonna talk about, but she was really cool too. and yeah, so just a lot going on. Like, and again, yeah, just how this ended. I don't know what's gonna happen next, so I'm just like, I'm hooked. I'm hooked on the series now. So yes, I hope I have talked it up well, because I really would recommend this one, especially if you are into darker types of fantasy, or if you're looking for something written by a female author. Yeah, it's good. It's really good, you guys. So definitely give it a go. Seraphina's Lament by Sarah Chorn. 5 stars from me. I loved it. So thanks so much for stopping in. That's going to do it for me this time. Just a quick one today. I'll catch you in the next one. Till next time. Bye, friends.